Johnny Nitafan, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah. So listen, I in the last 20 years since I've been in this business, I have trained and worked with, hell, just met tens of thousands of insurance agents and agency owners. And one of the reasons why I was so excited to talk with you today is that you fit into this little niche that I don't have a lot of experience in, nor have I really talked with anybody that are in that.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about, is kind of twofold, but I'm talking about life telesales. And
Yep.
then the other thing that you've done very successfully is your own lead generation.
hmm
I know I don't know what the percentage is, but I know there's a lot of insurance agents out there right now that's their
Yeah.
realm. They're especially young guys like yourself that, they're really trying to break into this field or succeed in this field of selling final expense, mortgage protection, like, simple life insurance products and doing it a lot over the phone and over Zoom. And so I want to pick
Yeah.
your brain on that. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to pick your brain on that and the lead gen. But
For sure.
before we get going into it, I've got something I want to start doing at the beginning of all my podcasts before they even know who you are, really get to know you. And
Yeah.
I want to ask the same question each week, but I want to ask you, you're 25, 24,
24. Yeah.
been
Right
in
on
the
the
business,
money.
been in business about 5 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Three and a half actually, but yeah, right around 3 to 5.
Okay. So been in the business 3.5 years. And as we
Yeah.
go through this, people are going to figure out, you figured out how to be successful in a lot of different ways. But if you could go back in time, what's the
hmm
one thing that you wish day one Johnny knew that Johnny knows today?
Day one, getting into the business is like just focus on sales, which is counterintuitive to like the marketing side, right? Because like that's something that I've really taken on to, but like literally just focus on the hyper accountability that every single person that you get in front of, it's your obligation and responsibility to get that deal done, right? And obviously it's not going to happen, but if you blame outside circumstances, if you don't take extreme ownership, it's one of those things that if you don't actually focus on what you can control, everything is there's nothing that's gonna like everything will fall into place once you actually do that. And so I think for the longest time, like the reason what kept me stuck for the first 9 months is I thought jumping from agency to agency was the answer. Oh, jumping from lead vendor to lead vendor was the answer. But it was until I actually pointed the finger at myself and been like, it is me. I'm the reason for success and I'm also the reason for failure. And right now it happens to be failure. And I can't say, hey, it was me when I win and not do the same thing when I lose, you know? And so when I was losing, when I got $15,000 into debt my first 9 months, it was in that moment I was listening to a Jim Rohn, what just Jim Rohn, his YouTube video, and he was like, if you don't like the circumstances that you have right now in life, it's because the person you are, attracted it. So if you want the circumstances to change, you got to change who the person that's attracting it. It doesn't just happen. And so I was like, oh, okay. The reason I'm here today is because of me. But if I want to attract outside circumstances to where I actually want, I have to change.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think it's so easy. I mean, I see agents all the time that will hit me up and ask advice, and I see so many people get stuck in quicksand and trying to figure out what products am I going to sell, what IMO should I use, what lead vendor should I use, what selling system, all of these different things. And the answer is that there are people that are successful probably in every single one of those options. But the real name of the game, and you really did nail that, it's get in the ring. Just start fighting. Just start doing your thing, and then you can pivot to what makes more sense for your personality and your goals. But I think that's a really good first answer there. How was your experience as far as finding the right agency to go work under or with? Did you have to do a bunch of jumping around with that in the beginning, like a lot of agents
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, I did it like five different IMOs in my first like 10 months. It was terrible. But I think like it's a pattern a lot of people fall into, and it's because of that mentality. They don't come into the business. It's all about like, oh, what the opportunity can provide, and not like, oh, I need to go and make it happen. And that's just with anything in business. You got to go make it happen. You got to be the one that's actually going out, learning the skill, getting in front of clients, etc. And so you can't just blame outside circumstances. So I had to jump around 5 different times. And I wish I would have, like, looking back, I wish I would have stayed with the second one just because I built really solid relationships. And I was like, oh, I think if I go to a different IMO, that's going to be the answer, which it's really not. So definitely.
Okay. I mean, it's an experience we all go through, you know,
Yeah.
and even the bad ones should be good. You know, there should be positive coming out, if nothing more than a learning experience. But it's definitely something that all new people get into this business. I mean, very few of them just walk in and land like, man, this is home, and it works out for a career.
Yeah.
That's just part of the process, and finding good partners and good, agencies to work with is important. All right.
Yeah.
So listen, you've got a small agency that cranks out, a couple $1 million a year of life insurance business. I want to talk about
Hmm.
that for a second because, again, I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of agents out there that are trying to do that very thing.
Hmm.
Um, you're doing most of your stuff. Are you still doing a lot of, as they call it, mortgage insurance? Uh,
No, so we do final expense.
okay.
So yeah, so we're primarily focused in the final expense market. Last time we talked, I mentioned like we're gonna go upstream, so we're gonna start selling more advanced markets, more annuities, more high cash value whole life policies, just more advanced markets, high face term. Because it's one of those things that I've realized is like final expense is awesome, but it's a bridge. A lot of people look at it like the end destination, and I've realized that like if you want to be really successful, you gotta like as a producer solely, I think it's really important to look at it as a bridge because it's to get from one destination to another. And I think it's not just the end all be all. Like it really is like that. I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts because you've seen so many different agencies and IMOs and looked over so many different people. What are your thoughts on that?
On the product line of final expense, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, just like saying like I don't know, like I've come to the realization with final expense that it has its beauties and it has its pitfalls, right? Like I could sit like this and like just work from home and sell anybody in the world, but like it's final expense at the end of the day. These people have procrastinated for years and decades on end to where they don't even have $1,000 sitting in their account to be able to do. And so, how financially responsible is this person to be able to continue paying monthly for that bill? I'm curious your thoughts though, like on your view of final expense.
Well, I mean, gosh, I hope I don't offend a lot of people with this one. I'm not a big lover of that product line. And let me be clear. I think it's a great product for a section of people. Okay. I think that there are people that are unhealthy, that can't qualify for bigger life insurance policies, or
Yeah.
people that don't have a lot of money, that something's better than nothing. Um, but I also feel like to some degree, it's been an abused product for quite some time now, where,
Definitely. Yeah.
agents think that anybody with a pulse is a target. And I
Hmm.
don't really agree with that, myself. But the other thing that makes it tough for me to really recommend that to new agents is that, well, let me ask you a question. You're in the final expense world. Who is your target market? Can you define that for me?
For me, it's somebody who's like just about to retire and just wanting to make sure that their final expenses are taken care of. They're losing their work coverage. They're about to get on Social Security. They want an affordable plan to be able to pay for their burial, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so that's a good answer. You talked about earlier about going upstream and learning how to, and, starting to cross sell your database. And I think if you really watch my channel and all my preaching and teachings, that's really what I'm all about. I think that the hardest thing we do in our industry is to get in front of a qualified prospect on a consistent basis. And so once we do get in front of that person, we should have a lot of different things that we might be able to offer them rather than just one product. I think a fully developed insurance agent should be able to sell life insurance and long term care and annuities and Medicare, be able to service a lot of different needs for a client. Um,
100%.
and I think that some of those needs are going to be final expense, but the argument I would make against that being what your marketing is driven towards is that a lot of times you're driving it towards somebody that's not going to be a candidate for those other products if you're basing it around income and wealth. Now, you
Yeah.
might not be. You might just be doing when you do your marketing. It might just. We're going to get into obviously because you're a marketing guru. You might just be tailoring it around retired people, but I assume you're probably trying to do some low income budget marketing to find
Yeah.
those people that are more apt to buy that product. And that's the good thing about being able to sell that product. It's the downside to it is they're not a great candidate for the bigger type products.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I that's a challenge with final expense. It's like it's pretty tough, and a lot of people don't have that dialed in. And the reality is, like, yeah, we could target those people or like think of that as our ideal client, but like the people who are actually retiring that like have money or are financially responsible typically are not going to like go out and buy a final expense policy because they have assets, they have money, they have like who's going to go out and spend $100 a month on a $20,000 policy when they already have 100, 200, $300,000 sitting there. And so I think the concept makes a lot of sense, but like in practicality it's like why not just go after somebody that you can make as agents, right? You can make 10 to 15 what final expense policies are work just as hard, but that's one annuity sale or two annuity sales. Like, I don't know, I've come to that realization, but I think it's good to cut your teeth and understand like, hey, this is how you overcome objections. This is how you stay hyper disciplined. This is where you show up. This is how you actually are able to interact. You're able to know a lot about just the insurance industry in general. You're able to learn that, how to underwrite, like these different terms. It's a good starting point. But again, I think it's a bridge. And I think where people get like the problem that people fall into, I think, is that they view it as the destination. I'm going to get rich selling final expense. And I'm like, you're not. Use it as a bridge, walk to your destination, 6 to 12 months, learn the industry, learn everything, learn products. You're going to learn about term, you'll learn about whole life, you'll learn about IUL, you'll learn about annuities. You'll learn about that because these people have it. And then after that, it's like, okay, start selling higher ticket products.
Well, and it's a great place for agents to start for a while. I agree, as long as it's not the destination. And the reason why it's a great place for
Yeah.
agents, brand new agents to start, is because it's quick money. You get paid quick. You can, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's a quick
No,
way
you're right.
to get an ROI, which some of those other products they're not. I'll also
Truth.
mention too that there's a product that goes, in my opinion, it's very underutilized with people that are selling final expense. I personally do not understand if you're selling final expense why you're not also offering Medicare supplements. Because with a
Mm,
Medicare supplement, you've got 70% of the population out there over the age of 65 that has a Medicare supplement in their house right now. And
how much?
oh, I don't know. In real soon, it's going to be 70% because Medicare Advantage is going to the wayside real
Yeah,
quickly.
I was curious about that.
Right now it's
Because I saw.
50-50 probably, but it's going to go way heavier back to where it used to be, at least for the time being on Medicare supplements because people are going to start getting real tired of these changes that Medicare Advantage is having. But you can walk into
Mm,
somebody's home and go in and give them the exact same coverage they have on a Medicare supplement with a different company, have the exact same coverage, potentially save them $500 to $800 a year in premiums for the exact same thing. And now you've invented the money to pay the premium on the final expense policy. So now you didn't cost them anything. You went into their home, gave them coverage, and it didn't cost them a dollar at all. I think it's a great combo sale. I think that, learning how to combo those two products alone together is a way to
yeah.
really get not only two sales, but you're also, when you've got two sales in a home, they're really your client.
Oh,
You don't have to
definitely.
worry about somebody for a dollar cheaper coming and taking that off your books and your residuals going out the window.
Yeah. That's exactly like kind of what I was thinking is like, okay, do I stay in this like the senior market when we've had like acquired like 1,500 clients this year and just go and rip and start cross selling those people, or do we look into a different market? And I think like both markets can be good, but it's like well, ultimately, what do I want to do for the rest of time? And I think I don't know, it may be a mix of both. I really don't know, but I think that's like really important. I'm surprised more people aren't cross selling more because that's huge.
Well, if I had my way, I would definitely tell you to stay in the senior market, and for about two or three reasons. One, most of the products that you can sell with a life and health insurance license are geared towards seniors. Number two, they're home. You know,
True.
talking to people that are still working, they're hard to get in front of a lot of times. And number three, the seniors, they've got all the money. They're ready
Yep.
to retire. They have the money. You can sell a mortgage protection lead to somebody that's 38 and they really want it. They lose their job, and all of a sudden, that's the first bill that goes out the window when times change financially. So, in my opinion, the senior market is really where our target market should be for a life and health insurance agent. Um, and if you really dive into believing that, then all of a sudden your marketing approaches will change. Your product lines will change.
Definitely.
Your whole business changes when you really get honed in on who's the optimal person that I can get in front of and want to get in front of. So, Johnny, I want to start with talking about something that, regardless of what products we talk about, I don't care what you're selling. It doesn't matter if you're talking about life insurance, final expense, annuities, long-term care, life insurance, whatever it is. The one thing that you've seemingly figured out how to do way more than I ever did, and way more than 99.9% of the agents I've ever talked to do, is you figured out how to become your own lead generation system.
Yeah.
So I know I've got a lot of people that are going to be interested in this topic. Um, Let me start and try and do this in chronological order. If I'm an agent and
Yeah.
I want to transform from buying leads from some lead agency, and I want to jump into developing my own leads.
Yeah.
Let me start for a second and ask you, what's the cost of entry? How much money do I need to be able to set aside to start that venture, to allocate towards generating my own leads?
I would say 5 to 10,000, and the reason why is because the first $1,000 to $2,000 that you spend on Facebook marketing, you're, I would just say you're throwing it away, and the reason why is because you're buying data. So when you're putting that money out, you're not just losing the money. Yeah, you might not close anything, which you should, by the way, but you're putting that in so that your Facebook account, assuming you're using a brand new Facebook ad account, that first $1,000 to $2,000 is just going towards, okay, where it's telling Facebook who you actually want to target, and based on your behavior, on if you scale the budget or you don't, that's telling Facebook, hey, this is working or this is not working. You don't do it by like telling them, you do it by your behavior on the advertising side, like what you
So you're
put money
saying that
towards.
the first couple $1,000 is really about training the algorithms of Facebook.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you want to make sure that you're having the right conversion event, right? So for us right now, we're starting to generate retirement leads. Retirement leads, essentially, it's like, okay, you could sell a younger person an IUL, you could sell an older person an annuity, and maybe there's a mix in between. If they don't qualify, maybe they don't have the budget. Cool. We're going to downsell them into a whole life final expense plan, right? Well, with this, our conversion event is specifically not catered towards leads, because what's going to happen is Facebook's like, oh, okay, cool. You want to generate and optimize for leads. Great. Well, let's just send as many people who are going to have the essentially, like, how could it's targeting more people that are more likely to fill out a Facebook lead form. But some people's behaviors are like, I don't fill out a lead form, but I'll go to a landing page. So they'll click the ad, it'll go to a landing page. Then they fill out it off Facebook, right? And so those are two different conversion events. Those could each both generate leads. However, we were like, we want qualified scheduled appointments. So we don't care about leads. Yes, we capture the info, but we're like, we want qualified people who are booking onto our calendar. So our conversion event that we're telling Facebook is, hey, based on if they schedule and they have money, that is a conversion event that we want, and send us more people like that. What happens? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I get it. You want to go hunting with a rifle, not a shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. And so essentially it's like, yeah, our cost per lead isn't great, but our first week we spend $1,000. We talk to an annuity client that has $600,000 of assets that's retiring in 2 months. We talk to another guy that just inherited $2.5 million that's looking for somewhere to park his money. We talk to another guy whose net worth is 1.5 million out of the 10 leads that we generated. So it's like, that is based on, we're sending them through a lot of filters. Then at that point of the conversion event that we want, because you can't track, like, you want to make sure that you're able to give there's a feedback cycle and loop that you can give to Facebook. So ideally it would be based on a sale, right? Like, okay, we only want to optimize for sales, but that's gonna the sales cycle, and you and I both know that sales cycle for an annuity is gonna take 45, 60, 90 days, right? That's not enough feedback to give Facebook. So let's do qualified conversions, and then from there, then we'll do sales.
So is Facebook, is that the social media choice for you? Is that,
Yeah.
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 And that's still vibrant, huh? Like
Definitely.
I hear,
And
I hear people say, like, that 5 years ago that was it, and they made changes with how Facebook operates, and that it's tougher now. Is that true
well,
or false?
I would say that's false. And I'd say it's definitely like it was way easier back then. I wasn't advertising 5 years ago, but I can say from my experience learning in January of 2023, I learned and we're generating final expense leads at 50 cents, a dollar 50. It was insane. But now it's like those same exact leads are probably costing $5 to $6. Every single year it's going to go up. The other thing though is a lot of people optimize again for leads. So you're optimizing for chronic form fillers that see an ad and they're like, "Oh cool, I'm going to fill this one out. Okay, cool, I'm going to fill this one out." And they fill out the same leads, and all of a sudden, because what happens is once you opt in, you train Facebook, you train Facebook that you like filling out these types of leads and they want to help business owners, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to target you with more like ads of that. And you're going to see if you fill out a lead form, you're going to get hit with like 5 more right behind there. But if you don't, and that's not your behavior and that's not your pattern, they're going to send you to the other way. Or there's going to be different ones, right? Sometimes it's pictures, sometimes it's videos. And so most people that are rich are not going to be like, "Oh, let me just fill out this Facebook ad." They're going to go to a landing page. They want to actually see, is this legit? And it's a real landing page. They're able to see more content of you, etc.
All right, so I got $5,000 to $10,000 set aside, ready to do this. What's the learning curve for me to really get to the point where, I can turn on, an ROI and start making more than I'm spending?
Yeah, I think that this is why I love final expense though, because the feedback cycle is so important. Essentially, what you want to think about is sales feeds marketing and marketing feeds sales. So the reason why my business partner and I work so well together is because I'm taking the calls. He generates the leads. I take the calls. Are they good or bad? How's the quality? They're terrible. I'm getting this objection. This person's showing up. They don't have money. Okay, great. He'll go back, work on creatives, work on the marketing side, and then it's just a rinse and repeat cycle. We're seeing higher case sizes. Great. Run more ads just like that or spend more money. So I think that's why final expense is so awesome, in my opinion, just for actually honing in on your marketing, because you're able to see a sale you're able to generate 50 leads, right? And maybe that costs you $500, right? Or $1,000. I would say $500 to be conservative at $10 a lead. Out of 50 leads, you should close one. If you close one as a broker at street level, 100%, you're profitable, even with the advance, right? So I think at $500, you should be able to make a sale and be profitable, especially with final expense. And then you continue to rinse and repeat that. And so I can get more into the tactics of like exactly how to do that. But I think after your first 1,000 to 2,000, you should be profitable on your campaign.
Is it, does it matter what the widget is?
What do you mean widget?
Well, I mean, what you're selling. So you've learned the lessons now by trying to generate final expense leads. Can you not
Yeah.
still take all those lessons if I said, okay, go generate me Medicare leads or go generate me annuity leads, for example?
Yeah. So the what I've learned is with your testing budget, you should be okay to spend up to what your lifetime value of a client is, your LTV. So the reason why $1,000 is so standard is because an average commission on a final expense is going to be $750 to $1,000. So let's go up a little bit, right? It's going to be different for an annuity lead, right? Because your LTV, let's just say on average is $8,000. In your testing campaign, you should be willing and okay to spend and throw away $8,000 to generate one person, because there's a lot of feedback you have to figure out. For us, we're like, okay, it probably, I think with our marketing and sales skills, I don't think it's going to take up to eight to $10,000 to be able to put into this campaign to learn, because we're making so much iterations in between. But in my mind, I'm like, all right, cool. If we spend 5 to 7 to close one annuity on our testing campaign, that's solid, because once you find something that works, then you can rinse and repeat and you can become more efficient over time. But the goal is right off the bat, it's not to become efficient. It's to find something that works. Then you start building the machine in the system that will spit out profit on the back end. And you fix the holes as you go.
Yeah, and to repeat one thing we talked about earlier too,
Yeah.
where that profitability really comes into play is when you talk about the lifetime value of a client, and maybe that's 500 bucks, maybe it's $1,000 on a product like that, but if we can also cross sell them, all of a sudden that lifetime value goes up tenfold.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good. So let me ask you this: what's the hardest thing about this generating your own lead business? What's the hardest thing for you?
Uh, yeah, I mean, we primarily just do it ourselves now. So like we don't really take on clients. Like we've had clients, like a lot of clients at times, but I think this is such an in-depth like thing to take hold of, that a lot of times when somebody enters into a marketing and sales relationship, if you don't have a cohesive extreme ownership perspective, like, hey, it's on 100% on me if I fail or don't, it really comes down to, hey, it's the marketing person's fault. And it's like, it's really not. And so I think that's why, like, my business partner and I were like, dude, we ran into that so much that it was always pointing fingers. Like, dude, you're not calling the leads within 5 minutes. You're not even calling the leads in general. How are you expecting to close? That's what we would go to. But then on the flip side, it's like, hey, these leads are terrible. These leads aren't picking up. And so it's just pointing fingers. And so it's like there's a level of humility and cohesiveness that has to happen, that each party in person are going to do their job at the best that they can. And that's why it's like, if you got to align all incentives. So essentially, I think the hardest part is, that was as far as client work goes. I think the biggest thing for me though, like overall, is just kind of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. Like we're entering into these annuity leads and retirement leads, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. I mean, well, I know what's working and I see what's working and I see other people's results of what's working, but I just don't have the knowledge of like exactly, like I haven't cracked it yet, right?
Messaging.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
messaging is obviously
exactly.
pretty important in that world. Like I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm in the middle of developing or helping an agency develop annuity leads, and it's all about the messaging. And to be honest with you, the expertise helps, but it's still a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me
What
about
are
your
you?
actual agency.
Yeah.
So your agents, are you produce leads for them? Is that how it works? So
Yeah.
they just sit at home and wait for the light to turn red and take a call. Is that
Yeah,
inbound stuff?
exactly.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. No, it's not inbound. It is inbound leads, like they're generated, but like they're actually coming to us, but they're not inbound calls. So they're inbound leads to where it's like we generate them, pay for them, and then pass it off to them. And then they close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, are you looking for more agents?
Honestly, not right now for that. Like we tapped our capacity just because like things are working so well in this regard. It's like our top 3 to 5 agents are making a good amount of money doing it, that it's like we don't want to do that, and we want to go upstream and actually like, so what I was saying, start the retirement and stuff and just go lean and mean, and all of us start selling at a really high clip in those more advanced markets.
Yeah, so many people think that more is better, and it's not always the
Yeah.
case. You're in this business, I'm in this business, we're in this for profit,
No,
not
exactly.
not volume, not revenue, and sometimes bigger doesn't always equal more.
Yeah, and that's like the challenge that I face. Like we scaled and we went to like 2 to 300,000 a month, and we had a team of like 40 people in our free lead program, and we were like running, and it was like, okay, our top 10 people are producing like 90% of this revenue. like what we're paying for so many, we're paying 300 to $400 per seat on each of these 40 people. Like the bill's like close to 10 grand per month, just on dialers, and not a let alone leads and commissions, whatever. And so it's like this operation is so expensive. And so I was like, well, let's just lean it down. I'll produce, we'll us produce, and let's just sit in a dial room and make a lot of money. And so I think I've come back to that. Like, you know what? It's about profit and actually making money, and then building a really solid foundation to then scale as you go. And so, like, if you scale too quick, you can lose it just as quick on that side too.
House of cards.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny, I tell you what, I think you'll be a real fun test case for us to do a part two with you here in 6 or 12 months after
Yeah.
you've cracked the code here on expanding your horizon into, long-term care annuities and these bigger type products. Because I think if you can tell the story of what you've done now and then move on to those higher priced, bigger ticket type products, I
Yeah.
think that there'll be a lot of people interested to see that part two of that. So
Yeah.
I think we'll put a pin in it today and look forward to
Yeah.
part two.
Cool,
Um,
man.
I very much
Appreciate you
appreciate
having
you
me
coming
on.
on with me tonight. It was fun
Yeah.
talking with you, and we'll look forward to seeing you on here in a few months after you've cracked the code again.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Johnny.